So we have Adam Caples here from First Crack. Adam, you're in St. Louis. How are you right now?
Not too shabby. It's hot, but we're doing okay.
Yeah, good. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Roasters Guild Retreat, which I suppose now is the Coffee Roasters Guild Retreat. So you've been, First Crack, we're sponsors. Why don't you talk a little bit about just what it's like, what the experience is like?
Roasters Guild Retreat is a weekend that's just packed full of the opportunity to roast on so many different makes and models of roasters, going from the old classics like the Probats, Diedrichs, and our Roasters, all the way up to some new and exciting roasters like the Stronghold S7. They even have an experimental 1 kilo Loring. So you get to interface with so many people of different skill levels and play on all the roasting equipment your heart could desire.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and there are lectures and there's always a roasting challenge, which we'll discuss this year's in a bit. But like, why go? What do attendees get out of it? I mean, I know, the things that I think are cool are it's open to people of all skill levels. So you might be a square one beginner and be on a team with, some pretty heavy hitters in coffee. The lectures are cool. And I also think for people who are looking to purchase a roaster, there's no better place to be because of what you just mentioned. You literally can roast. There's open roasting time in addition to the scheduled thing. So you can roast on any and all makes of roaster. And it's probably worth me mentioning that we will have a roaster there. And for people who are interested in purchasing a roaster, if they do so prior to October, we're offering a discount on the Proster. Proster's prices have gone up and we are selling them at what was the pricing from 2013, basically till, present day. So good opportunity to try out a bunch of roasters and potentially get a deal on one. But yeah, so why go?
Why go? You mentioned the workshops and all the lectures. This year, they're doing a great lecture on Robusta and its applications in the specialty coffee industry. You have interactions with various importers, various roasters, and just that one-on-one time with a roaster rep to learn about all the features and nitty-gritty details of their pieces of equipment. So if you're curious about roasting and want to get better, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. If you are an old hand at roasting and just want to see what's new and out there, everyone brings their own unique take to the table and everyone produces great coffee. The competition aspect, the team challenge aspect is great for people that want to really go above and beyond the day-to-day operations of roasting and try to really dial in a coffee for a certain regard.
Yeah, I
There's lots
remember
of
one of the years I went, there was a competition on basically it was roast for, I think, cold brew. And then another year it was a coffee, and I think it was farm specific, processed like natural honey, washed, whatever. And so you had to do some degree of like blending that. Another one was an explicit blend challenge. Do you remember? So I think we just decided last year was in Wisconsin, right?
Last year was
Yeah.
at Lake Delavan, Wisconsin, and the team challenge,
Yeah.
they really wanted you to optimize a coffee two ways. One to make a fantastic filter brew, and one to make an excellent shot of espresso. So everyone had one of three coffees, and you had to pull the best out of it for both of those brewing methods. We had a lot of tasty coffees last year.
So did teams submit one final coffee or one for each brew method?
One for each brew method.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they had people doing various pour overs to really see how it expressed that way. And they had a couple of dedicated shot pullers that were trying to dial in a very small amount of coffee to taste first off.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Interesting. So I believe I saw an email with this year's challenge, which is going to be quite challenging. So, if what I read is correct, the challenge is past crop. So long story short, the teams will get fresh crop and past crop coffee of the same coffee, and they have to use 75% past crop in their blend, and then that's it, and then just pick a winner. Oh, that's a tough one, right? Like, do you have any
That
tips
is,
or tricks for roasting past crop that don't do it?
well, the easiest one is don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, Depending on what sort of coffee that we'll have available for the teams to roast on, we could get lucky. Here in St. Louis a few years ago, we had a past crop natural Honduras that still just smacked of strawberries and cream. I think overall, doing a shorter roast, really not elongating it to help preserve the qualities that are still in the past crop, and then really try to bring out those qualities by rounding out your fresh crop. Um, your fresh crop could help lend more of that sweetness and acidity since it'll be more available. That past crop keeping a shorter overall roast, shorter development, maintaining its sweetness and acidity, and letting it do a brunt of the lifting for the body probably aid in producing a great quality.
Yeah. I remember there was an Ethiopian Guji past crop that we weren't roasting it, but I knew of people who were roasting that coffee when it was over a year past crop too, and it still was pretty good. So yeah, I guess one might get lucky this year, but yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Because I mean, I suppose you could roast darker, but that's not really going. And moisture content will be so huge too, right? Because a big part of it is just
Yeah,
it's going to taste baggy and could have a bunch of off flavors, and it's kind of tough to roast that out. And other than decreasing the quantity, which you can't really do, it's going to be a
no,
tricky challenge. So
decreasing the quantity as much as the roaster has available to do so, being a little less aggressive on your roast to really nurture the bean and let it express what it has to express. But it's kind of the antithesis to a fresh crop coffee where you have the ability to attack that bean with a little more moisture, a little more aggressively due to its moisture content.
yeah.
So you're basically taking one roast and flipping it on its head to do the other bean.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be fun to see how that goes. So, yeah, and remind me the name of the place it's at this year. I know it's as far northwest as you can get in the contiguous 48.
Yeah, it is in the Simiyamu Resort. I believe that's in Kent, Washington, just
Yeah.
a little bit north of Bellingham.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Okay.
should be a good
Well,
time.
yeah. I myself won't be there, but Adam, you will be there this year. So for anyone watching, track this guy down and say hey. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to try out a bunch of roasters. We will have information about the two other makes we distribute, Bueller and Roaster Dynamics. And we will have a 1.5 kilo Proster there to try. And if you're in the market and you like a Proster, it's the actual best time to buy Prosters. So keep that in mind. And yeah, so that's the Roaster Skilled Retreat, a little background about it. I think that's it. So thanks, Adam, for taking the time to talk, and we'll leave it there. So good to see you.
Thank you, Colin. And to anyone watching, I hope to see you at Roasters Guild.
All right. We'll see you later.
Yeah.